Hello, this is 5 Minutes with KeRusso. I want to ask you a question. Are you enjoying your journey through the Bible and reading it and discovering new things? I hope that your answer is yes, but I also hope that your answer is no. that seems kind of weird, but here's the deal. When you read the Bible, you have the opportunity to have an encounter with God, and God is not like you and me. He's holy, and we're not. Now, he calls us to be holy, and he helps us to be holy. But when you read this book we call the Bible, there ought to be times when you read it, when you're reminded that you're not so holy, that you mess up, that sin actually is part of your life, and that there ought to be this experience at times when you're convicted by it. And that doesn't feel so good. But it's something that ought to happen. If you're really reading the Bible, it will happen. If you understand what God's trying to say, it will happen, and probably quite frequently. But that's not a reason to put this book aside and not read it. It's a reason, it's a way to begin to grow and to become who God wants you to become, who you're capable of becoming with his help. Now, I'm going to share with you one of those texts this morning. It's out of Genesis chapter 3, where there ought to be some convicting that happens. In Genesis chapter 3, there's this world that we're not familiar with. It's really strange to us. And there's three characters it really focuses on at this point. You have a serpent that talks. You have the woman, the first woman, and you have the first man, and they're in this garden. Now, that's just kind of weird for me, having a serpent that talks. I've never met a talking serpent. If I'd met a serpent, I probably would not have given it a chance to talk to me, at least at a certain point in my life. I grew up in Texas where you had rattlesnakes and copperheads and water moccasins. And we had the mindset back then, you see one of those snakes, you kill it. Well, that's probably what I would have done if I would have been in this garden and this snake started talking to me. Well, long story short, the snake or the serpent is really Satan. And he asked a question of this woman. And he asked this question, and I'm going to read it for you in chapter 3 and verse 1. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Now, God didn't really say that. Satan twists the question or the instructions of God. But I want you to focus on this little lead into the question. Did God really say? This is the very first question that's actually written in the Bible. And it gives you some insight into the one who asked the question. Because this is the way Satan works with people. He wants them to question God. Did God really say that? Did God really want you to do this? Did God really give this teaching? Did God really mean this? That's how Satan works. Now, we get all upset with this woman. Maybe we still do. Maybe we don't think about it too much. But we would like to, if we could rerun this part of the movie, we would like to do this over again where the woman doesn't eat from this tree and the man doesn't eat from the tree, and they got it right. And we might get upset with them and say, I could be living in the Garden of Eden if they hadn't messed up. But the reality is, Satan has come to you and I multiple times with this thought, did God really say this? And we listened to him. We made the same choice that woman made and the same choice that the man made. And we chose not to listen to God. Did God really say, be pure in heart? Did God really say, be true to your spouse? Did God really say, don't get angry? Did God really say, don't hate? Did God really say, don't be sexually immoral? Did God really say whatever? There are those things that God does say that we choose not to listen to because Satan's gotten in our head. Did God really say that? Did God really mean that? And we chose not to listen to God. And bad things always happen when we listen to Satan instead of listening to God. And it happens to this man and this woman. And we'll talk about that the next time. But for you and I would ask you just to spend some time thinking about this first question of the Bible. How many times have you listened to Satan instead of listening to God? You might just take some time to reflect on how it's messed your life up. And maybe the next time Satan comes at you and he plants that thought in your head, you'll choose not to listen to him. And you'll hang on to what God really did say. That's about thoughts for you today. I hope you're blessed by them. Post a comment, send an email at booksbykerusso@gmail.com. God bless you.